Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to CIC Studio. I am Ogenemaru, and with me, I'm a BA student from the SS3 to have a discussion on parenting as regarding the Gen Z. So, beginning from my left hand,
Okay. Good day, everyone. My name is Samuel and I'm in SS3A.
Hi, my name is Obiefuna Chika and I'm in SS3A.
I am Agiri Monjola Olua and I am in SS3F.
I'm Zana Emakiome and I'm in SS3A.
And I am Euler Ermasele by name, a member of SS3E.
all right. So, like I said, we'll be having a discussion today as regarding parenting in this era of the Gen Z. So, there is this school of thought that the Gen Zs are people that are not, respectful people, and so the discussion is going to be amazing because right here are the Gen Z. So let's hear their thought as pertaining these Gen Zs matters and all. So beginning from Samuel.
Relating to the Gen Z matter, like you said, one thing I know about Gen Zs is that we, as per se, are very expressive, right? We are this type of people that we like to express ourselves in different areas, right? You can express yourself maybe through words, through your dressing, through your actions, and all. So this topic is actually very, very concerning because a lot of parents nowadays they don't actually understand the expressive, like I don't say the expressive numbers, like they don't understand the how their children express themselves. They don't really like sit down and like understand. They don't have this time. Yeah, they don't have this time to properly understand how these their children are. So as per se, my own parents, right? My own parents, I know that they understand me.
Okay.
But this topic is actually very, very entertaining to hear. So Chika, what do you think?
To me though, because it's Gen Z and Gen Z are people, or let me say teenagers that are influenced by the society. To them, because we're Gen Z, we have to like blend in what the society tags as a Gen Z trend, yeah, which now comes down to communication and expression. To me, I'm actually very expressive. Like if I want something, I will say it how I want it, and I will try to like get it that exact way. So it really matters to both parties. If you can understand me from where I'm coming from, then there shouldn't be any issue in Gen Z being expressive or tagging it as or them being disrespectful, stuff like that. So
Okay. So
Please, could you repeat the question?
so like I said, we're having a discussion around parenting as pertaining to the Gen Z. And there's this school of thought that Gen Z, this generation, are people that are not respectful, as pertaining to this era, and most times you now see parents, they do kind of a back date. When I was then, I don't do this to my dad and all of this. So,
I feel such schools of thought have a stereotype.
okay.
Because, can I say, have you ever heard a situation whereby a Gen Z is respectful? You're only hearing the bad side. You're only hearing that there are disrespectful Gen Zs. Have you ever heard about the respectful ones? Why are we being so stereotypical? Obviously, to every side, there is a to every situation there's a bad side and a good side. Back then also, there were also bad children.
Yeah.
Our parents, maybe they were not as innocent as we thought, but because of us now, they have to be pure and be good role models for their children. And therefore, when they see their children straying, exact, not the word I'm looking for is behaving in the way they did back then. They don't want a repeat of. They don't want to see. It's like a mirror of what they did back then, and they don't want to see that. Therefore, they tell you back in my time, I never used to my parents. But there's a possibility that they actually did. So, I would say parents are a bit. I won't say parents. the schools of thought are stereotypical. They should also be open to the fact that, um, yes, some Gen Zs are disrespectful and all, and the way they express their emotions are not ideal. And then there are some people that they're respectful, and then they know how to control their emotions. They're emotionally intelligent. Yes.
Okay, well, yeah, I understand that. That, the discussion is surrounding the school of thought. Obviously, there are. It's just like when you hear statement like, for example, the average Christian don't study their Bible by themselves. Now, it does not mean that we don't have Christians who don't study Bible, but the discussion is that addressing those ones who don't study the Bible. So now, we know obviously that there are Gen Zs that are respectful, but what we are looking at is the generation of is peculiar. This thing is peculiar to this generation. Obviously, it's not all, but there's a peculiarity in this generation. Let's say 50 years ago, there was a peculiarity. It might not be in every part, but it was peculiar in this particular time. All right, so that's what we're looking at, and that's what we are trying to point out. The reason behind the reason why these trends are going on. So, Zana, over to you.
From what you said, some parents don't like listening to their children.
Okay.
Some children, most children, don't like listening to their parents. And then see the problem here is communication. Some, like from what Chika said, we teenagers, yes, we teenagers, we like to be heard. And then when we express ourselves to some adults, it may seem very, very disrespectful. And then parents too, from also what you said that, oh, they think that, oh, what happened then will still happen now. They want their children to listen. But some of them are very forceful. Oh, if you don't do it, as in, you must follow that particular line of whatever like they are teaching you and all. But when you are, yes, when you have patience with your children, and when children have, let's say, patience, yeah, like patience, as in to actually listen to their parents, not
Mm.
just think you're right all the time. When the communication is, effective at both sides, I think, like, things will be able to work more. It's not just that, oh, Gen Zs are disrespectful. It should also come from, the other side of parents.
Okay.
Well, if they say Gen Zs are disrespectful, let me first start with please, I am not disrespectful. And yeah, that's a what's it called? Is it deductive or inductive method of reasoning? They're using the general, sorry, singular to classify
I
the
think
general.
stereotypical or something.
Hmm?
That would be stereotypical.
Yeah, I wanted to use it in economics terms, but the thing is, different people, different people act differently. Let me, because I won't put the general first. Different people act differently. I can be all polite, nice to everybody I meet. But the next Gen Z can be wicked, nonchalant. Next Gen Z may be in another light. So they cannot be using, because I saw 5 Gen Zs acting in the way that I wasn't brought up to. I'm saying the whole Gen Z are wicked. Now, someone said something. Gen Zs express themselves in their mode of dressing. During our parents' time, there was this method of dressing where you feel that it's in a word for worldly or real world children. Now, I can see a learned child, a child that well educated, doesn't have any flaw in his character wise, but he's still dressing in that direction. Will you tell me that because he's dressing like that, he wasn't brought up well? You won't tell me that because I wore a durag or something, I'm getting straight A's in my exams. I am the most respectful person. I have awards for diligence and all. But because of my dressing, you bring down my high standards and high names down because of my dressing. So that motion of using little things to judge the general should actually stop. And communication on her hand means that parents should create that room where they can be able to access their child's feelings. Access their child's feelings in the way that my son should be able to tell me what to do, like how they feel, not what to do, how they feel. so that you shouldn't be hiding things from, because the more they hide things from them, the more the society, as my mom says, what they do not teach you, if you refuse to learn from your house, the society will teach you, and they will teach you in a bad way. So if my this is to my mom, sha. Now see, if you don't have that communication with your parents and they do not tell you what to do, and you go outside, now let's say your friend invited you to take in weed and all. Now if your parents didn't have that communication, you can't tell them, you're scared to tell them, you won't. So you end up indulging in things that are not meant to be.
Okay, so we have established the fact that there are um, certain there are certain Gen Zs that are into this thing,
Yeah.
and one of the things that we all agree is the point of communication.
Yeah.
But I think what we need to also address is the mood of communication, because sometimes we talk about communication, that the Gen Z should communicate with their parents,
Yeah.
the parents should communicate to the children, and sometimes the parents may do the communication or the child may do the communication, but the ball point is how the communication is being passed, how it's being made. So let's look at it in this direction. Have you seen or heard about, or have you thought about parenting abroad? Have you think about that? Now take an instance of, let me give an example. Now we know Africa, for example, we are rich in our culture is we place priority on respect, especially to the elderly.
Yeah.
Good. Now let's take for instance now a child that is being brought up abroad and a child that is brought up here. Now, it's not everybody, but now there are certain laws over there
Yeah.
that it's as though it favors the
Them.
them. Now imagine a parent disciplining the child, and the child is calling their 911 for the now.
Things happen like that.
It happens like
Yeah.
that.
My
Now,
cousin did
I have a
it.
church member that he's abroad now. I think he was relaying to another church member that back over there, you can't. Let's say I'm your mom, I'm scolding you, and you don't like my tone. You can easily pick up your phone and call police.
exactly.
In
Now,
Nigeria,
good. Now, what I'm saying is this. Now we are in Nigeria and Africa. Now, for example, now if probably maybe your dad is giving a correction,
Yeah.
let's even say in a way you don't like, and let's even say he's doing it publicly, and then you raise your voice back. Now you will see hands from different angle. Now the
Multiple
point
hands.
the
Even
point
strangers.
good, even
Even
strangers,
strangers.
exactly, even
Even
strangers.
strangers.
Now, but take an example of a child over there. It's even the neighbors that will help you. I heard of a scenario where it was the neighbor that helped the child to call those security people. Why? Because the father was scolding the child. So you now see that there's actually really over there. There's actually really a exactly. There's actually really this gap between discipline over there and here. So now we have established the point of communication. And so I really want us to talk about the mode of communication, because I know that Gen Zs really sometimes they just say things
Yeah, they
just
don't
the way
have-
they feel it.
Yeah.
And I think that's another constraint. So let me hear.
Okay. I feel like this problem, right, is a two-way thing. It's both the parents and the child itself,
Okay.
right? So I'm going to give an example of what happened to me personally, because there was a day, right, that I told my mom something, right? I told her this thing, and I'm pretty sure that I told her this thing, but then she forgot, right? Then another day came, and my father was around, and then she now told my father, right, that I did not tell her what I said I told her. And then, that she was now like painting me in front of my father that, oh, I didn't say this, as per me responsible that I didn't say this. And my father was angry. But then in my heart, I felt that, but I actually told you this thing. So I started shouting. Like I started calling her that, oh, that mommy, I told you this thing, I told you this thing, I actually lying against me. I actually said this. Like the way I put it out there was like in a wrong way, right? So she felt really bad. Like she felt really, really bad, right? Even though maybe she forgot, but the way I brought it out, the way I acted was
Mhm.
really bad. And then my sister told me that, oh, that even though an adult, irrespective of who you are, whether it's your mom, your dad, anybody, even though they do something you don't like, but there should be a way that you express it to them.
Exactly.
You understand? So I feel that yes, so we are expressive, but there should be a knowledge, right? That even though I want to express my feelings, but you should express it in the right way.
Mm.
There should be a way that, because you know that our parents, right, they are the old generation, and in the old generation you dare not speak to your
Exactly.
father, even though you are wrong or you are right, you dare not utter a thing. But in this generation now, some parents allow it, right? But if you are saying, if you want to express yourself, like my father now, he allows it, but there should be a way I present it to him. I should not just go out there and say, oh, I actually did this. Oh, you're lying against me. There should actually be a way that I
Wait,
present
yeah.
it to him. So I feel that the parents also need to be understanding, and the children also need to be understanding. So this is actually a two-way thing for me.
Okay. Anybody? Okay.
To me, yeah, um, I feel it's all about boundaries because that's what my parents did when they tried to allow us to be expressive. But like four, and the gap between I and my first sister is actually quite much. So just imagine the gap between I and my parents. So I feel like the parents of this or the elders of this generation, they carry this respect thing on their head, but I feel respect is reciprocal. Like if I respect you, you should also respect me. Like in my family, it's not necessarily tagged that you must be the person to greet first. Yes, so you should greet, but if the thing skips your mind, my mom will literally be like, ah, you did not greet. I'm like, oh yes, good morning. She'll be like, oh yes, good morning. So but most adults, when they see you, the first thing is that he did not greet you, you're disrespectful. So I feel like they should actually like try and understand and like set this boundary, yeah. Because my mom said this boundary about, oh, you could be expressive, but there's a, I won't say there's a limit, but there should be a way you should be expressive that you're not really disrespecting me. So it should all it should actually be about proper communication. With proper communication and boundaries set, I feel there shouldn't be that gap. It should actually create a bridge between Gen Z and their parents.
Okay.
So the points they mentioned, communication and um, let me start with communication. You see, when you said the Americans, they disrespect their parents as per, I can tell my dad, sorry, in quote, I can't tell my dad what I'm about to say. Nigga, leave me alone. You cannot try it in Nigeria. Like before you finish the N word, you are receiving a slap. Even your senior brother self is giving you behind. Now, see, everything starts from when you're small. I have cousins abroad. My uncle from here went there and he gave birth there. He could have chosen to allow them live the American way. Because let me put the American way and the Nigerian way. But my uncle flogged my cousins, but they wouldn't call the police because that was when they were small. So if you bring them up in that manner from when they were younger, there is no way that when they grow up, if you slap them, they are going to call the police. Now, in the Nigerian aspect, where your parents, where your parents feel because I'm older, all power and honor is in their hands. I'm gonna put it in this way. As Chika said, you respect goes both ways. I respect you because you're my elder. I respect you because you're my father. I respect you because you're my friend. You're my sister and all of that. But you should also respect me. Respect my choices. Respect my decisions. You can advise me in the way, but don't try to influence it. If I make up my mind that, okay, this is what I want to do, you can give me advice on it. But because um how it was during your time, you now want to impose that on me. they are different. In those days, they saw being different professions, being a doctor and all of that as high placed profession. But now, I feel like if you want to be a doctor, every science student now, every parent now that sees their child in science department wants them to become doctor. But there are other professions. There's a radiologist, neurosurgeon, and all of that. Yeah, I'm a commercial student. It's only money I know. So now, see, in those days, business admin to even parents now was seen as a cause that if you do not have a future, you do not know what you're doing, you just want to waste your time, or say, I have a degree, that's my course. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have potentials. People that made that decision now in our generation may be influenced by their parents to change it. And that's where you see some children now being like, oh, I shouldn't have read this course if it wasn't for my parents. Because in those days that was what was seen. But in our time, your motion is obsolete. There are new motions that are in play. Just like a football match, the same formation you used to beat a team last time, if you use that same formation and the next team has mastered it, you're going to lose woefully. So everything advances stage by stage, level by level. So if parents need to increase their communication and everything so that they can be able to advance and bring that bond between them and their children.
Okay, so I want to bring 2 points from what you guys have said. The first one is, the scenario we gave us regarding parenting abroad and parenting in Nigeria. The parenting abroad, the setup, the system. Now it's not just about there's a place of parents abroad training their children while they are younger.
Yeah.
And there's also a place where the country has a setup whereby there are policies that helps and favors, in quote, the children for certain household. And in Nigeria we don't have, if I misbehave and my dad give me a slap and I go to police, they will slap me. They will help
they'll beat
discipline me.
you.
It means over there is a system,
Yeah.
a working system that help them. And secondly, I that point of you people talk about respecting each other, parents. Yeah, very true. But I will come in one aspect. The Bible says parents and children should honor their father and mother. Now, there's a difference between honor and respect.
Yeah.
Now, the difference is that in respect, sometimes, many times, one have to deserve it. But in honor, you just have to.
Yes, you just have to.
You just have to. Why? Because no matter how much money I make or you make, you can't be greater than your parents. For them bringing you to this world, they are your parents. So the point is, in as much as both parties should have understanding, the children should also learn that even if it's as though, in quote, your right is being,
Breached.
breached, you must also know that, I keep saying we are in Africa, we are rich in respect. In as much as it may seem that some people are, esteem it so well and all of that, true. But we must not throw away these are our core values. Because even if we are advancing as a country, we can't advance in immorality, and we can't advance and leave our core values such as respect and all of that. So communication is very, very important.
Yeah, it's key.
It's very, very important. It's key from both parties. But I will still say that in scenarios where the parent breached, they didn't do as the Gen Zs want it to be, they should learn, because they are a parent. They should learn on how to manage the situation and not to just over express themselves. And because there's some point where you want to express yourself to your parent, and if it's not well managed, you are going to cross borders. and it was as though you are talking to your mate. You know, I've seen scenarios where a child was talking to the mom and someone was passing and the person entered, I thought you were quarreling with your junior brother. I don't know that I was talking because the words was saying was just as they was quarreling with his younger one. So, but you know, the point is there should be communication from both parties. But nevertheless, if peradventure, the parents didn't do it in the way that you want it, there should be a time where you could go and express. I don't think there's any parent
That's what I
that
have in mind. That's what I wanted to say.
I don't think there's any parent that, you know, the child after the whole scenario that you're a parent and your child came, daddy, when you did this was not really happen and all of that. And the father would just stay to get out and all of that.
Try to
So
understand.
they was trying to understand. So in as much as the parents should understand the Gen Zs too should understand that because we are looking at it from we are Gen Z. They should understand us. We should dress this way. We should be fashionable. We should be this. We should understand them too, that they are not in this generation.
They are
They're not
outdated.
used to this.
They are outdated.
They are outdated.
And
They're
so
not
we
used to this.
exactly so they're not used to some certain things.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take for example now. Let's turn in this direction of fashion. You know when we're growing, they will say you don't wear this canvas sneakers on like
A corporate.
traditional attire like native. But now we do it now. We wear sneakers on native.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's young people. Will you see an old man do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't really see an old man, let's say
I-
60 or 70, wearing sneakers on native.
Right.
Most of them they are wearing shoe
They
or
want to fit
in fact they
in
would
a way. Some of them want to fit in a way.
Yeah, the time I did it,
They
my father
would
was
try
talking to me.
to. Okay, let me try and understand how this feels like. I would wear native and I wear sneakers.
yeah, it's rare.
My science teacher, he said that
It's so serious.
he's I think he's a millennial. He's not a Gen Z teacher. He has a child. He has children. So yes, he said that he even wants to start a trend. He wants to wear sweatpants with sneakers on a school t-shirt.
Hey, good.
Don't please
No,
don't try to imagine it because when I saw it, it was not eating. But he said it's a trend that if he wears it and someone wears it, might be a trend.
Yeah, it's
So
actually
I think he's trying to understand that trends pop up every day. Might seem absurd to you, but it's what is going on. And then if you don't flow with it, you are termed outdated,
obsolete.
obsolete.
Exactly what you people do when you people say parents are outdated or obsolete. It's what we do when they don't, because true that not all parents can actually really fit in some certain areas.
Yeah.
But my
Even
friend-
Gen
my mom
Z
can-
themselves have not finished fitting into
Yeah.
the
It's not,
society.
yeah, it's not all parents that can. I'm just trying to picture my dad wearing a sneaker on native, and you know, so it's the truth is they cannot really fit in all situations.
Yeah.
But I just think the basic they can in terms of understanding the Gen Z, that is their children, and seeing how that they can together. So one of the key we talked on was communication, and we have agreed that the communication should come from both parties.
Yeah.
So I think that's really. So we have come to the end of the discussion on Gen Z and parenting, and it was nice having you. At least I was able to hear from Gen Z and have discussions surrounding and also hear that.
Question, sorry. Sir, which generation are you from?
We'll talk about it later. All right, so it was really nice having you in this discussion, and I really got to understand some perspective as pertaining to Gen Z, and I know that our viewers also got some perspective as pertaining to Gen Z. So hope to see you next time. So
Bye, guys.
Peace out.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen.
You hung the stars in the sky, one by one. How great are